Welcome to It's Your Business, a program designed to highlight our local small businesses who participate in contracting and procurement opportunities at Houston Community College. I'm your host, Veronica Douglas. If you have tuned in before, welcome back. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Either way, we're so glad you're joining us on today as we highlight our local small businesses and community partners for the good work that they do. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, please do so by visiting our website and clicking Let's Stay in Touch. Subscribing to our newsletter allows us to reach you in a uniformed manner to provide you with information about the Small Business Development Program and its community partners. So with that being said, let's get started. Did you know that there is a free program funded by Goldman Sachs Foundation that helps Houston business owners get back on track and position for success? Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses is a program for small businesses that links learning into action. Joining us today is Lara Carreno, Director of Marketing and Program Outreach. Welcome, Liz.
Hi, thank you for having me, Veronica.
It's a wonderful feeling to have my partner in crime with us here today, Liz. I'm so glad that you were able to join me.
I was very grateful for the invitations. I think you've had the opportunity to meet, some of our success stories that have graduated from our program, our Goldman Sachs alumni who have now been able to become part of the Houston Community College business community and being able to do business with that, as well as support the communities where our colleges exist.
So tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
I'm a native Houstonian. I've worked for Continental Airlines for 21 years, so operations and contracts and customer service products around the globe. Before that, oil and gas, Houston being what it is. Background in procurement. For me, just the opportunity to be able to work with a diversity in business or nonprofits that help our city grow and help our communities grow, I think has probably been a factor in almost everything that I've done professionally here in the Greater Houston market.
You do an amazing job. I can't say that enough. I enjoy working with you so much.
Thank you.
So can you give us an overview of Goldman Sachs? What exactly, what is Goldman Sachs? What is the foundation? How did all this get started?
This started with the Goldman Sachs Foundation created a study, and what it needed to focus on, it actually happened around the 2008, 2009, which is what we know in Texas happened. It's that the oil prices, everything crashed, and it was really starting from scratch. And what it did is it took a closer look at businesses that had started. And what the survey and the study found was that the businesses were closing between the second and the fifth year. And it wasn't because they weren't a great baker, an engineer, a designer, a roofer, or a concrete pourer. It was because of the actual business operations itself. And that's why the businesses were closing. The lack of knowledge and education on the operations, the financials, how to hire the right people, or even how to identify who the right client base was, for them. And so Goldman Sachs Foundation, which funded the program, partnered with ICIC.org, which was started by Dr. Michael Porter from Harvard to kind of help create the structure and how to identify the communities throughout the nation where they would begin to step in and start creating this support. And then they partnered with Babson College, which is the number one entrepreneurial school in the nation. Many of their 5 or 10-day programs are executive level programs that run probably about $10,000 on up for a 1 week. And so they were charged with creating a curriculum that was not based on theory, that would be applicable almost immediately. And it was created for businesses in growth mode. So we were looking for businesses, not at the startup level, but those that had been through the cuts and bruises. And they were also being facilitated by business owners who knew what it is to make payroll and understand what those challenges were. it was a grant program, and Houston Community College, at that time it was Dr. Maya DeNervo, who applied for the grant, and Houston was the 4th city selected. So we began our program in January of 2011, and we have been partners, ever since. We reached 1,000 business owners this year, and I think we are at 18 sites now across the nation. The request was so big out of Texas that they opened up a second site in Dallas. If you are not within a 2-hour range of a site city like Houston or Dallas, then you're able to apply and become part of the national program. So it's a hybrid of part online, and then they fly you up to New York City to do the balance of the course there. And it is all funded by the Goldman Sachs Foundation. So it really is an investment in our small business owners.
And as outreach director, what is your role? What role do you play exactly in the program?
My role, I've been with the program since it was brought to Houston. I started out as mod faculty, teaching the leadership. It's the people. I've done operations, negotiations, and worked in the HR clinics. And then in 2014, I stepped in as director of marketing and outreach. And it really was about developing, because people were like, Goldman Sachs Foundation, free. They didn't understand what this program was about. So my role really was about establishing what the brand and what the program does. But it was a much bigger picture, because it isn't just about one business. We were going into many of the communities, and that's really where HCC played a large part. We would go into the communities where an HCC campus already existed. And how do we work with the chambers of commerce and Houston community colleges in those areas, so that it wasn't just about education of the students. It was about how do we help that community grow and continue to support. And what I did was, we did a lot of lunch and learns. We talked about the program, but, I explained it this way. If you live, here's 45 South, and everyone on the east side of 45, businesses were just thriving. But then on the west side of 45, they might be at revenues or at below. And we already know what happens when a community begins to dwindle and go away. It almost takes a decade for it to recover. So it's much bigger than that one barbershop or that one store or employment service that's able to bring in. We want that businesses to grow, so that not only do the business owners and that community grow, but the revenues grow, and therefore that community grows, and therefore the college benefits. So it's a much bigger picture than just that one business. And we do that with our application process. Even though there's not an actual fee for that business owner, you need to apply in order to get accepted.
And I think it's important that we emphasize that this is a free program. There's no cost at all. Is that correct?
Correct. There's no financial cost. There's no financial cost for anyone to apply. There's no financial cost if they're accepted into a program. It is a 13-week program. There is a commitment. It is a commitment. I always tell folks, this is not a spectator sport. If you are truly serious about your business and you are looking for it to grow, because for us, it's that you build your business and we're going to help you grow it. And this is about not working in the business, but on it. And it's creating that mind shift for that business owner to business leader. So in doing that, it's about creating processes and introducing new resources and bringing in subject matter experts to help them in the areas that they may not be knowledgeable in. They may know a little. And then you have those business owners where they come in and they'll tell you, I don't know marketing, I don't know finances, but I have my operations down and I don't know who my clients are. However, many of them will tell you, I don't know what I don't know until I hear it. It's like, oh, didn't even know I was supposed to be doing that. And so there's a lot of those aha moments, in there. So, when the business owners come in and we take them through the mods, everything really connects with each of the modules, and having that mindset to just come in and build their business. Many of them come in to grow, diversify, or they come in packaged and ready to sell it. Our growth strategy is about an exit strategy and understanding the value of your business, so they become better informed to make decisions as their businesses grow.
So let's talk a little bit about the application. Is this an online application? Where can someone interested find the application?
We have gone through great strides. You know, when we started this program, oh my God, there must have been like 10 pieces of paper we were handing out. And I think I've shared with you, I'm that fish kissing tree hugger. Why are we killing trees here? So we, you know, over the year, because it's now 12 years, we have reduced the paperwork and everything is online. 10K stands for 10,000, SB, small business. So we have 10ksbapply.com. We now have the QR code where folks are just able to apply. It asks you for your basic information. You know, when we talk about the program, is that you need to apply in order to be considered. You know, we don't always use the word free. We do ask for that commitment because we ask you to attend each of the sessions. Someone says, which class can you miss? Well, you don't miss any. You know, we're looking for that commitment. But the second commitment is that even though we do not charge a fee, we do take measurements at 6 month, 18th month, and 30 months. The Goldman Sachs program, we look at what gets measured, gets managed, what gets managed, gets measured. And we follow those business owners through that process to determine where they are in their growth strategy. Did they meet it at the 6 month mark or the 8 month, 18-month mark? And so that helps us determine, do we need to make any adjustments to the curriculum? Are we actually doing outreach to the right businesses? And those numbers really are telling for us as to the success. How many of them have gone into mentorships? How many of them have started their own angel funds for other small businesses in their communities? So how many of them have gone back to school because they want another degree or their first degree because they enjoyed the education so much? So there's a lot of things that have come from that. But when you apply, it's really the business. We look at your revenues. Because of COVID, we lowered our 150,000 to 75,000 in revenues. We lowered it from 4 employees to 2 employees, and that is owner or co-owner can also be considered. I need to know that when you're in that class and you are looking at your financials, that someone else is able to answer the calls and take care of your client base. And it cannot be a 1099. It must be a W-2 or the owner co-owner, because those are the only ones that can make those decisions for you. And it's 2 years minimum in operations. Anything less than that would be considered a startup. We preferably like them even more than that, because then you've got, you know, some years under you and you've been able to identify your successes and some of those challenges that you've been able to recognize in that process. So it's really easy to do.
Is there anyone too big? Is there a size requirement as far as a company too big to apply for the program?
You know, I think maybe 15, 16 million has been the highest, you know, from that. When you apply, you know, we ask for your financials and we ask for the documents to ensure that you are the business owner. And then once we have those documents, then you're invited for the interview process in front of a panel. And the panel process, which is about 30 minutes, just ask the questions that maybe can fill some of the gaps or the holes in that actual application or in the documents that you submitted. You know, we see you've been gone 6 months or a year, you know, what happened here? Or was it a loss of a contract? We want people to apply that are having challenges. They want to grow, and they're saying, I don't know how to do this, and I need help with that. If you were a perfect company, then you don't need us. You're doing fine. There's enough services and resources in the city that can support you with that. But this one really takes you from where your business, where do you want to go? Let's talk about your financials. Let's talk about what kind of a leader you're and a culture you're creating within your company, and identifying the right people to help you with that growth strategy. So, you know, we do have some folks that said, well, I want to be part of it because they want the Goldman Sachs moniker. And I would like to share the alumni program is one of the biggest benefits. So you now become part of a network. You know, here in the greater Houston market, it is about 1,000 alumni, but you also get connected with all of our resources. Like, how do I become an HCC vendor? How do I now become, you know, doing business with Port of Houston, the city of Houston, or the county, or my certifications? So the networks begin to increase, and the collaboration and the connections are even larger. On a national level, from Honolulu to Puerto Rico, we now have close to 14,000. Our alumni, anybody that is from New York or Miami that wants to do business in Houston, they'll go to the 10KSB. I need a caterer, a photographer. I need commercial property to store equipment. That's how they start connecting. Over 87% do business with each other. And to me, that is a very strong network base there. They understand the language. They know what they're there to do. They're focused on their business. So that's a really big plus, for our alumni.
So Liz, where are you looking for applicants for the program?
When we started this program, Houston, that was also something I needed to explain to Goldman Sachs. I said, our city is as big as some of the states that they're in. And it's just me as the outreach director. And so one of the things that I literally did was creating relationships with many of the chambers of commerce, just like Houston Community College, is in different communities. I did the same thing with chambers of commerce, East and the Woodlands, Cy-Fair, Fort Bend. And, for us, it was creating those relationships with a lot of their directors and their board members and participating in expos. My job would have been so easy if I could have just bought advertising in the Houston Business Journal, but our brand does not allow us to do that. So literally, it was just a lot of footwork. Also becoming partners with City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity, WBEA, HMSDC, all of our certifying agencies, getting to know a lot of the supplier diversity folks, where they want to do business and they need to meet those percentages. However, their concern is that many of those businesses were not prepared. They weren't able to build capacity or maybe fulfill some of the contracts because there were 2 or 3 areas in their businesses that maybe weren't where they needed to be in order to work with those particular primes. And so one of the things that we have now established is that when they find out and they've commented to me when we're out in those expos is that, we've had some of those Goldman Sachs alumni and they are better prepared now to apply and fulfill and with great success. Whereas previously, 1 or 2 had attempted to apply for one of those RFPs and wasn't successful, because of that. But financially, they're better prepared. Operationally, they're better prepared, and they've got the staffing that they need, at this point. So I continue. One of the commitments that, we made first very early on with this program is that even though we would meet individuals, we would meet these business owners that weren't quite ready for the Goldman Sachs program, we would put them in our pipeline. And when I find out what their situation is, I said, you're not ready. You need to get your financials in order. We would give them the links. Here's where you need to go. You need to raise your revenues. Are you registered in any of these here? Because these could be potential revenue streams for you. And we would introduce them to new ecosystems or understanding, how to fish. I call it how to fish. And I said, you can't wait for them to bring the fish to you. I said, here's these ecosystems. Start tapping into them. I said, these are the communities where you should start, marketing your businesses. So, I've been able to work with a lot of business owners who may have applied 5 years ago and they weren't ready. And I could tell them, I said, you're not ready. You're not ready. And then when they're ready, I said, you're ready. They applied and they got in, so I've got quite a few of those folks, Twice Media, Michelle Levy, Elite Image. So it's like, I go back quite a few years with these folks, with a lot of these business owners. And like I said, for me, if there's any way that I can help them, we have so many resources here. People just don't know where to go. And, getting them registered and sending them down those pipelines. So partnership is really important to me. Because as I said, the better prepared our business owners are, the bigger and better our business community can be, to be able to fulfill these contracts that are coming out.
And as far as the diversity of the program, anyone in professional services or any industry essentially could apply, correct? If you're
Correct.
a
Correct. I
barber,
will tell you
dentist.
just organically, I know that the governor is trying to make Texas #1 for women business owners. We've always come in #2 after California. And our classes just organically have been balanced out, women and men, and ethnicity. For us, we look at the business. Everything else has somehow taken care of itself. And we would get calls from around the other sites and saying, how are you doing that? And what can I tell you? We have that entrepreneurial spirit here. So we have a lot of those folks that will apply. The one thing that I think a lot of people don't know is that we also accept nonprofits. We accept nonprofits, 501c3s. They have to meet the same requirements. You have to run a nonprofit as a business. You've got the vision and the mission and the cause of that nonprofit, but it still has to operate like a business. And so we've had quite a few that have come through. But I wanted to, just kind of put that out there again, that we do accept them.
Yeah, that's great, especially for the nonprofits to lead with the board members and the donors. That's really important in their business model. Let's talk about the modules that you're actually teaching the students the business owners that go through the course.
We brought it down to 9 very simple modules. Orientation, I always call that the sniff test, where you've got all these business owners that come in, and I will tell you, they're holding on to their phone like, I'm going to get that important phone call. And it's kind of getting to know everybody, and then they'll find how diverse each of their industries are. What can we possibly have in common? Well, you're all business owners. That's what you have in common. It doesn't matter what your business specialty is or industry is. We need to talk about operations and finance. Mod 1, we actually break everything down. Tell me what your business is, what's your product, what's your service, how long have you been doing this? Mod 2 is, what is that opportunity statement? You are now writing out what it is I want my business to be. I want it to grow. I want to diversify. What is it that you're looking to do? Mod 3 is finances. We're now going to get down to, we're not going to make you CPAs, but along with that finance, we put in 2 financial clinics. We need you to understand your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, then you don't understand your business. And so for us, it's, understanding your profit and loss sheet. And again, we're not going to make you CPAs, but we need you to understand that, when you think about Mod 1 and you're like, you thought you had more money than you had when you get to Mod 3. And then when you get to Mod 2, you have all these ideas of how you want to grow your business. And then Mod 3 is like, well, you don't have that money yet. So how are we going to get that? That's when I see the phones go down. We got your attention. So Mod 4 is about the pattern of behaviors. We are past that I'm the boss or we're going to say what I do. Well, if that's the case, then you're never going to grow your business, because at some point you need to now learn how to delegate, and you need to now to be able to communicate what the vision is. And mission is what you come in and do every day. Vision is where we're taking this company. And you can only go with it alone for so long, which is why Mod 5, how to identify the right people that are going to take me down that path. Mod 6 is about marketing, and so many people do not know the resources available at the library, at SBDC and SBA, how to identify the right profile of my client and even my competition in like 10 or 25 mile radius. I mean, it's there. When we get to Mod 7 is about operations. And I will tell you, that's probably a big aha, where people recognize where things that they can actually trademark, copyright, being able to bring up contracts of non-disclosures, things that protect themselves that they weren't aware of, and understand how competition is out there and how easy it is for me to say, I'll pay you double and give you a percentage. Come here with that process. It's like, businesses need to learn how to protect themselves, but also consistency in that process that is important to their brand, which is what they just talked about in Mod 6. So in Mod 8, throughout this entire process, we're introducing them to lenders and partners and understanding what being bankable is, and give them scenarios of, just because you've had your checking account here for 10 years doesn't mean they're going to give you a commercial loan. And understanding that just because these two banks said no doesn't mean the third one's going to say no. They need to understand how funding works out there and how to be prepared. And in order for them to graduate in Mod 9, they must be able to turn in an actual growth strategy. I also want to add that in this mod, there are clinics. We provide a negotiations clinic with a template, how to actually plan the strategy for negotiations, because once you're face-to-face, it's tactical. We also bring in a group of attorneys provided by the Goldman Sachs team, and they review anything that may have to do, with labor and employees or any issues that may come up, and they're able to have a one-on-one with them. So throughout this process, we also bring in our alumni to be able to share some things, words of wisdom, as well as opportunities and resources that they've been able to benefit from, and kind of hear from them, because they're our best ambassadors.
So Liz, just wrapping up, tell us when the next application deadline is and how our viewers can apply.
Our next application deadline is going to be June 1st, 2023, and it is for the fall cohort, which begins in September. And you're able to apply at 10ksbapply.com, and also the QR code, which I'll have on your slide there. And as I said, the application is just very simple and basic information. We follow back up with you and ask you for any of the documents, but it's important for you to get your information, your basic information in by June 1st.
Thank you so much, Liz, for coming on today. And I know those that are watching, if they missed the June 1st application, there will be other opportunities throughout the year for them to apply as well. So
correct. The next class won't be until spring 2024.
Okay. Thank you again, Liz, and thank you for watching It's Your Business. I'm your host, Veronica Douglas. We will see you next time.